Okay, it is always on Real Boxing Talk. We started laughing about something off the air that we are not allowed to talk about. So, haha. Welcome back to Real Boxing Talk on Real Boxing Talk on the whatever the name of this thing is, the Ultimate Sports Network. I named it. I should remember that. Welcome, gentlemen, once again.
Great. How you doing, Frank? How you doing, Charles?
Doing well.
Good, gentlemen.
Good.
We are into boxing season kind of right now. And as this year has been so messed up, you figure on Halloween we're going to get a trick or a treat. Ooh, I like the segue there. Look, it just popped in my head. Sorry about that. All right, we're looking at several fights this coming up this weekend. It's nice to see that we have these fights. Nice to see that we have what look like some action fights, some things we really have to be concerned with. Let's start with the big one, and then we'll kind of fill in as we go. As you can see on John's background, we're not going to be subtle about this. We're looking at the Tank, Gervonta Davis against Leo Santa Cruz for the WBA lightweight and super lightweight title. Is that correct?
Featherweight.
I'm sorry. Did I say super junior featherweight, lightweight, whatever? You're reading so many things. It's hard to make sense anymore. 2 titles, yes.
That's
2 titles, and one's a junior or a senior, and the other one's a regular one. The problem we've talked about all the time is that there are too many belts, too many things.
Exactly.
This is cool though. We're going to get this out of the way. All right, so we have Leo Santa Cruz with one loss and 1 draw, and Gervonta Davis with I just dropped out of my head what it was. No losses, no ties, no anything else other than let's go in and a lot of tattoos. What's special about this fight, guys? Charles, what do you think is special about this fight to get us going?
One is they're both champions, right? And they're both accomplished fighters, and that's something that they both have a reputation. And you look at Santa Cruz, he's a 4-time champion. You look at Gervonta Davis, 3-time champion, and they're fighting each other when they really don't have to. They don't have to. They could go other places and whatever, and they're putting it on the line. They're risking it, and I think both of them know that. And it's not often that we were entertained by another fight we didn't think was going to happen, the Lomachenko versus Lopez fight. 2 guys that really wanted to fight each other, and now we don't really see that in modern day age. So, to me, what makes it special is the fact that these guys know it's going to be a problem. There's going to be repercussions for the loser. The winner, of course, it's going to be great. Not saying that the loser's not going to make any money anymore or do anything like that, but it's a major risk. It's something people want to see, and I think that's what makes it primarily special.
John, what's got you looking forward to this one?
Oh, I love this fight, and I'm actually saddened because it's not getting a lot of buzz from what I've been seeing. Some, but not as much as, and that's just the world we live in now. Boxing doesn't get very much buzz for any of their fights anymore. I always say this every time. They don't, because of the popularity is obviously lower than it used to be, and you never see, if you happen to get newspapers, you almost never see anything about boxing anymore, where it used to be all over the place when I was a kid. Right. And I can't help but think that way. But you got 2 champions fighting each other, and you got Santa Cruz showing the size of his cojones coming up to fight the Tank. That's all good. I mean, actually, that's great, because he's daring to be great, or daring to be very good, wherever you put these guys. And he's fighting a guy that's knocked out 22 out of 23 opponents. He's blasted guys out. So that's going to be a challenge for him. And I wrote an article about it, and I can't help that. What I thought about was Don Chargan, the late great Don Chargan, World Week Chargan. And he mentioned, when I think Santa Cruz was on a card I was at in Vegas, and I think it was his 5th or 6th fight. And he said, "John, that kid, you better keep your eye on that kid." And I went, "Who?" He said, "Leo Santa Cruz." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, this kid, he's going places. He's going to be a champion. You watch him." And then he said that's something that he knew that I would love. He said, "He reminds me of the old guys from the Olympic, the fights that he used to put together from the Olympic." And obviously, Don was right, more ways than one about Leo. And then Davis, who's just we were talking off the air. Yeah, he might be a little rough around the edges, but he's a tough dude. He's been through a lot in his life, and in boxing, it's always about matchups. That's what we love. And here we have two styles that are totally different. They're like opposites again. It's kind of like Lomachenko and Davis, in the sense you got the older man in Santa Cruz. He's not old. Younger man in Davis. Davis has got more power, obviously. Santa Cruz is a better boxer, maybe. So you got a lot of those intangibles, mystery. We don't really know. Davis is a big favorite. I'm all over the place, but this is why this fight is so good to me, is because there's a lot of going on as far as them as fighters, and you put them in the same ring. Let's see what happens. So yeah, I can't wait.
Well, Charles, and we're not telling tales out of school here, but you've been on the Leo Santa Cruz flotilla for quite some time here. Why?
Well, he's more of a technician, and I like that. He's a guy that gets in there. Might come in with a game plan and a fighting style, certain way he wants to go, but he can alter. It's what I call a technician. He has the ability to box. You can bang and mix it up with somebody as well. But depending on what the fight is kind of showing you what's going on, he has that ability to adapt, and he's not afraid. And that's one thing about him. He learns too, because when you think about too, when he lost his first fight, when he lost that fight to Frampton, it was clear that he fought a hell of a fight. It was close, but you knew he probably thought he didn't win the fight. But he came back the second time and he was like, yeah, I learned now. I'm going to get him. But the fact of that, this is a fight that what Santa Cruz does not have to take. And he's not afraid. He wants to show you too how great he can be. And in order to be great, you have to risk something. And that's what he's always shown me. I've been around him in other fights when he's in Vegas when he fought Abner Mares, and two nice guys. But he always had just a smile on his face, just a good dude. But he's like, I'm coming in here to fight on my handle. And I like that about him. And the more and more I watched him, the more I had a great appreciation for his style. And this is a fight, like I said, it's very dangerous. A lot of people wouldn't take this fight because what's going on. Then you throw the Mayweather factor in. That's a whole different ball game. We'll talk about that as well. But I think that's why I like him, because he's consistent and he continues to improve.
Okay, and on the other end, what is there that Tank Davis has shown us in the last few fights or the last few years that makes you think he should be a champion for some time, John?
Power. He is a heavy-handed dude, and he didn't look very good against Gamboa. Looked kind of sluggish, but his manager, who we know, a guy by the name of Mayweather, promoter, manager, whatever, he stepped in and really, he's always been a mentor, but he seems to have really stepped it up for this fight more from what we were watching, Charles, right? And with Davis, you wonder sometimes. There's people online right now saying that he's not going to make weight. He's going to make weight. I'll be shocked if he doesn't make weight. I don't think that anybody on his team, led by Floyd Mayweather Jr., is going to allow that to happen. He will make weight. He's been in Vegas for the last few months, which was smart. That showed that he's not a pighead about things. He's not being a stubborn jerk. He got out of Baltimore, where he's had some issues, as we know, with the law. He got out of there. He's in Vegas. He's working hard. So I don't think he's going to be the same guy that fought Gamboa this Saturday night. He's going to be in tip-top shape. But obviously he's not fighting the same guy in Gamboa that Leo Santa, who's also going to be in tip-top shape. So that's right. That's what you like. If you got two champions in there in the best shape, then it's just all about skills and matchups and intangibles and all that to see who's going to win. But Davis made a splash right away because he just started with 14 straight knockouts. And everybody loves power. It's just like equate it to baseball. Everybody loves the power hitter, and he was that. And that's one of the questions, guys, is when he tags Leo, will he be able to take it? Will he not go down like so many of Davis's opponents, and then get the Tank's respect? So again, that's what makes it so interesting.
Well, let's talk about the weight for a second, because that's something that's interesting. There are two belts on the line here, 130 and 135, yet the fight's going to be fought at 130. Now, Davis holds the 135 belt. Santa Cruz holds the 130 belt. Santa Cruz has fought a majority of his career below that weight, whereas it looks like it may not be possible. How many double negatives can I throw in there? For Davis to maybe not make weight or be close. So weigh-in's great. Day of the fight, what's the disparity in weight and how's it going to play out? Because as we've seen Santa Cruz fight, he's a long-rangey looking kind of guy, though we'll get into the toughness factor later. But he looks like he's John, you mentioned when you were someone pointed out to him, you want to watch this young kid fight, and it's like, who, the skinny kid?
Yeah.
So is that going to be a factor where Santa Cruz will make weight with no problem, and Davis is going to have to work to make weight, and then will there be a disparity after that? Charles, is there a big difference between 130 and 135 for these guys, or maybe even 128 and 138?
I think it can be, but I think the factor, I'm going to call it the Mayweather factor. I think that's why he came to Vegas. He's working out with Floyd. You look at his body. It's one thing starting to watch him when he was training and how he was cut up. Usually he's kind of puffy, walking around like that. You don't see that now. He's like right there. And when they said that he's probably at weight already, made weight already, I believe them. And I think the reason why you come to Floyd's gym is he's probably Floyd, and we won't talk about Floyd Mayweather too much, but Floyd Mayweather is the type of guy that takes his craft very seriously. And he's coming in, bringing Tank in, and Tank knows that mindset he has to have to even train in that gym. And that's one thing Floyd Mayweather is not going to slack off on, is him being trained properly. So I don't think the weight's going to be a problem. Then you mentioned too about later on, I think they will let Tank Davis go back to his natural feeling. I mean, not so much where he can just slough off or anything, but I don't think they're going to try to drain him too much, because I think that is a concern. So you have him at 130 after the weigh-in, and then you try to keep him right there. The question is, will he be able to have stamina? And I know you think it the other way because he's bigger and he's like to be more sluggish. But the other way that if you keep him not as hydrated and he's going closer to 130, is he going to tire out too? So I think that's something that you need to watch. So I'll be interested to see. I think they're going to try to get him more closer to his regular weight the night of after the weigh-in, the night of the fight.
Well, if you're saying that he's 130 or close on Tuesday, then it shouldn't be that much of a problem because he's already there. So he's not cutting anything on Thursday night to make weight on the way in Friday morning. So that's a good thing. All right, John, now we're looking at how can he play that, or let's flip it around, because Santa Cruz doesn't look like the toughest character in a ring or on the block, yet he probably is. Will he use that? I don't know. I don't expect anyone to not understand what he can do, but will he use that ranginess to say, okay, come in here, I'm going to take care of business too? How does this play out with Santa Cruz being not the taller guy, but maybe not the bulkier guy?
Well, Santa Cruz. I was waiting for Charles to use our favorite word.
Ding. He got
Santa
close.
Cruz is a crafty guy. He is. He is. He's crafty. He's a technician. So see, the thing about Santa Cruz, he's a smart fighter too. What Charles brought up was a really good point. Was after he lost to Frampton, he knew what he had to do to beat him in the rematch. He didn't go and cry about it. He didn't moan and groan. He didn't blame anybody. He didn't whine about it. He just said, okay, I got to go back and I know what I got to fix to beat him in the rematch. He did it. So I think he's going to be, in a sense, like Teofimo Lopez was here a few weeks ago. He's got a plan.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to utilize that plan the best way he can. Yeah, he knows everything about Davis. He knows that he's a stronger guy. He knows that he hits harder, but he's going to try to get around that with his other skills, his boxing skills. The other thing is Leo Santa Cruz, he might be able to slow him down a little too because he's all action. He's always throwing punches. Again, back to Lopez. Lopez really never let Lomachenko in the first 6 rounds get into any kind of rhythm. Right. Not that he was throwing very many punches, but the point was, if you're sticking that left out there, you're throwing punches, the other guy's got to move to get out of the way of him, so he can't come back like he wants. So you know that Santa Cruz is going to want to make Davis think more than he might want to. You know, keep him occupied with a jab and some right hands, maybe some body shots. Let's see if he gets tired later in the fight. But Frank, yeah, Leo said, I saw him in Vegas too, Charles, and he's always got that smile on his face. He looks like the nicest guy, and he actually is a really, really nice guy. But obviously, he's got that warrior thing in his belly. You know, he's the kind of guy that if you saw him, you go, that guy, he's not tough. Like you said, he's a gust of wind blow him over years ago. But you saw what he did against Frampton. I've seen him in other fights with Morris. He fought him twice. Those were toe-to-toe, tooth and nail, every cliche you want to use, and he beat him twice. Morris is a former champion too, very talented fighter. So the toughness part, there's no question that he's got it. There's no question that Davis has got it. It's just a matter of who can use what they got better. And then again, with the styles, who can adapt better and who's just got the style that will beat the other guy. And I know, like I said, that Davis is going to have a particular style. He might not want to get too close to Davis because of the power, but he's going to have to at some point. So it's going to be one of those, you're going to be watching it going, okay, I see what's going on. Uh-oh, here comes the tank. Here comes one of those bombs. So it's going to be kind of tactical and suspenseful, I think, because, what's going to happen when he lands, like I said.
Well, this is one of those fights I'm looking, again, we've said this leading up to the Lopez-Lomachenko fight, that we kind of knew how it was going to play out and we weren't necessarily accurate. So I'm going to say the same thing here. I would think that Davis is going to come straight at him. I don't know what Santa Cruz is going to do, because if you look at the fight, especially the second fight against Carl Frampton, available here to watch on the Ultimate Sports Network, by the way, shameless plug. We covered that one a few weeks ago. But sorry about that. But the idea that he is going to stay at range and just pick him apart, that's not what he does. At least not what I've seen him do, talking about Santa Cruz. The thing that I like about him is he doesn't look like an inside tough fighter. He looks like he should be outside just kind of picking and waiting for his spots. He's going to come right at him. He doesn't want to fight a fight where he's not coming right at him. So this is going to make for a great contest, and I love to break it down some more. We'll get to it as we review everything for the weekend. But let's look at what else is on tap for the weekend. We've got some heavyweights going on as well. And I just saw an interview with Chisora, and he's fighting Usyk. What he mentioned in the interview on Sky Sports was, and as John mentioned off the air, Usyk is a cruiserweight. He may not be a cruiserweight anymore, but he's a cruiserweight. Does that make a big difference in heavyweights, Charles? That is it now? I mean, is it 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 40 pounds? Does that make a big difference that you're coming up in weight when you've been not a heavyweight? Because the heavyweights we know can be from 200 to 800 pounds. Does that make a big difference in size, or is it more skill?
I think it can. I mean, you got skill all day, but like you said, if you're Usyk, you've never been hit by a real heavyweight, a big heavyweight, and somebody with the skill set too. Because, you know, we talk about these other fighters in the past that came from lower weights and then went to heavyweight. A lot of them selectively chose their opponents.
Right.
Let's keep that real, selectively. So when Roy Jones Jr. fights John Ruiz, okay, selectively. You just didn't go like, I want the best guy or whatever like that too. So I do think that it can make a difference. And from the standpoint of coming up from cruiser, you're fighting a guy too that really knows how to drop that power. So it really depends on where you're at. But I still think no matter what they may say, I think the guy coming from the lower weight, his team has already looked at and said, yeah, he's bigger than us, but his style, the way that he fights, fits more to our liking, which is gonna kind of lead for us to put us in a better position to possibly win a fight.
Okay, and John, what don't we know about Usyk that we should know about? Because that's not a household name, even though it probably should be.
Well, he was here we go, Lomo again. He was called the Big Lomachenko because Lomachenko's father trained him, and it still trains him, I believe. I'm not 100% sure about that, but when he won the cruiserweight, or was it the light heavyweight? Honestly, I can't remember right now. The tournament. He had some tough. I think it was cruiserweight. He had some tough fights in that, and he showed. What I liked about him, now I'm remembering, is he's a road warrior. He'll go. He doesn't say, no, I'm only going to fight here. He'll go anywhere and fight anybody in their backyard. And in a sense, he's doing it again with Chisora. But this Chisora is like the heavyweight. It's like a monster movie in a sense. The guy won't go away. I mean, he's lost like 9 fights.
Right.
He's been knocked out a few times, but he always seems to come back. And now he's got David Haye, who knocked him out, as his main promoter, manager. So he's a survivor.
Yeah, I know. That seems weird, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, they hated each other for a while. Now they're like best buddies. But he gave Dillian White hell in both fights. I'm talking Chisora. So what your answer to your question is can he take a heavyweight, and can he hurt a heavyweight? He fought Witherspoon, the nephew of Tim Witherspoon, who would never make it even break the top 20, and he hung in, never went down once, wasn't really even hurt. They just stopped it because of accumulation. So it's going to come down to that too. If Chisora starts to believe, look, this guy can't even hurt me, he's hitting me with these pity-patted punches, and starts wailing away, Usyk can be hit. And again, so I guess we have a nice segue, Frank. I know you love this. Again, it's going to be like Santa Cruz. What happens when Usyk, who's more of a boxer puncher, really gets hit by a big bomb by Chisora, who's going to be doing that? He knows he's not going to win a decision over him, so he's going to be trying to knock him out. What happens when he gets hit solid? Now, Usyk has showed a very, very good shin in previous fights. So, but you got a big man like Chisora hitting you with a big bomb. Maybe if you don't see it, it could be a totally different story here.
Well, one thing that I noticed when we talk about a chin, sorry about that, is that we talk about what are you getting hit with? Because if it's the accumulation of punches over several rounds, blah, 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 and they're like, oh, yeah, go ahead, hit me some more, that's cool. If you're talking like a Randall Tex Cobb, where you stand there going, hit me, it ain't going to hurt, there's a whole different story there. So when we talk about guys having good chins, do they also get hit a lot? Some guys can stick their face in there and go, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you forever. And some guys are like, ooh, he got hit with a bomb, he's done. And that's a whole different story. Now, when we talk about cruiserweights, and this is just pure speculation, Charles, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I'm going to ask you a question, and I hope that there's an answer to it. Why don't we even think the cruiserweights exist? Why don't we even think about the cruiserweight division? Just off the top of my head, I just realized, name 5 cruiserweights in the last 10 years that you went, that guy should be one of the best boxers in the world. Well, you always have to move up or move down.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is just the weight. I mean, what is a cruiserweight? I mean, when you think about the number, John, what's a cruiserweight? What's the number for a cruiserweight?
It's up to 200. 200 is the limit, I believe. See, Frank, your point is perfect, because I'm not totally I can't act like an expert here when it comes to the cruiserweight division.
Is it like 175 to 200?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I guess my point is, though, if you're a light heavyweight, which is sometimes light heavy, you can do like 175.
175.
And then you can go, the in-between doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of people fight it, but your top guys are going to say, well, if I can make 175 and I'm going to go 200 and be 210, I might as well go ahead and move up to heavyweight.
Right.
Because one, that's where the money is. I don't think you ever heard any real money at cruiserweight. I mean, granted, we could go look for some fighters, but the money's either at light heavy. You look at the Leon, you look at the the Michael Spinks of the world and other guys like that. They went from boom, boom, boom. You might saw the White Kwawi or somebody like that, cruiserweight. But most guys go, if I can make light heavy or whatever, then I can move on from 175 and I can make that transition over to heavyweight. And I think it has a lot to do with the money, the prestige, and the acknowledgement of the division. And we just have not, you're not going to sit back and go, name me the 5 greatest cruiserweights of all time. You go, oh yeah.
See, that's my point, right?
Yeah, it fits. It's a perfect point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to name Evander Holyfield.
Right. Okay. What was that? Steve Cunningham, but he wasn't a great fighter. He was a cruiserweight, right? Steve Cunningham. Marco Huck was a cruiserweight.
Okay.
Gasanov, who's fighting this weekend, is a cruiserweight. And now he's a heavyweight, so he's moving up. Right. I'm not cheating. I'm just thinking.
There's a Canadian in there someplace, not Jean Pascal, but yeah. That's see that. But see, and Charles' point is, oh man, I can't make 175 anymore. Well, you're a biscuit away from 200 at that point. But there's 175 to 200. Why can't you fight at 181 or
that's
192?
Cruiserweight. Yeah,
that's cruiserweight. So you're thinking there should be somewhere somebody like Chris Bird, for example, I would have thought would have been cruiserweight, but I'm going to go up to heavyweight and take my risk, and I'm sure there are a couple of Germans in there that I'm missing here that
Bradis just won the cruiserweight tournament, right. So he's another one, but he's not moving up to heavyweight. He's staying right. Cruiserweight. And Frank Usyk, what his fight with Bello was a really good fight. He was actually losing that fight on 2 cards, and he knocked out Bello in the 8th round. And that was in the cruiserweight division. And then Bellew has also knocked out David Haye a couple of times when Haye tore his Achilles once. I couldn't believe that. I thought David Haye would destroy him. I was really surprised by that. But after that, that's when he fought Chaz Weatherspoon, and then he moved up to heavyweight, and now he's a heavyweight. But Charles hit it out of the park with that. He said that it's all about prestige and money, and I think it is. That's what it is. Is you always make more money in the heavyweight division. It's risky, but let's go up and see. Now, Bob Foster, great light heavyweight, would have tore up everybody in the cruiserweight or some in the cruiserweight, because when he got above that poundage, he started to get knocked out. So, that's the thing. Again, there's no guarantee. I don't care how good you are. You move up there against those big guys, it's different. Totally
and
different.
We're looking at
sometimes.
And we have to understand the cruiserweight division's really been in effect since the mid 80s. So it's not like they were cruiserweights back in the 30s. So we added this division in the mid 80s, and I think the first champion was Evander Holyfield, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look that up and make sure. But as I'm looking at longest reigning cruiser, Denis Lebedev.
There he is.
Vasily Yurov, good fighter. Jean-Marc Momek was one of the guys I was thinking of, one of the Canadians, the actual Frenchman. But Ossia Cassia, Marco Huck. But again, guys you wouldn't say they could fight anybody pound for pound, any place. So it's that division where you go, do we need this? And I'll get off my soapbox on that for another time, or get on it for another time. But that's one of the divisions you go, even though it's a 15-pound gap, actually a 25-pound gap, do we need that division? I don't know. Maybe for some people we do. I don't know. But anyway, the point I was trying to make with that was, when you look at Usyk moving up, or having to move up because there's nobody else to really fight at that division where he wants to be, is it the same as, say, here's your segue, Santa Cruz moving up from lightweight to super lightweight, or junior, whatever the heck it's supposed to be.
Junior featherweight to lightweight.
Junior featherweight to whatever. Yeah, I'm going to mess that up the rest of the day. Sorry about that.
All right.
Is it that same kind of thing? 5 pounds as opposed to 25 pounds. You would think the bigger gap would be going 25 pounds, but actually I think it's the 5 pounds. But, what do you think, John?
It's let's juggle it. It is tough to move up, and the difference between 25 pounds, I think it's both, because 25 pounds, that's heavy hands. If somebody hits you they got 30 pounds on you, and then they could be physical, throw you around the ring and tire you out that way. That's dangerous for you if you're in that division. But what's really cool, Frank, is that you're talking about the cruiserweight division. The great heavyweights, they would have been cruiserweights. Rocky Marciano never weighed over 190. I believe Joe Louis, most of his career was 199. Mm-hmm. And then as he got older, he hit 214 against Ezra Charles, I think. But they were smaller in those days. They would have been cruiserweights.
Right.
So actually, to drive you even crazier, Frank, got to throw this in. Suleiman, the WBC president, is talking about creating another heavyweight type division.
Super
That'll
heavyweight,
be
yeah.
from 200 to 220, I think. Yes.
Yeah, I heard
Let's
that. I
create
went, oh,
another
you couldn't,
belt
yeah.
to confuse us all. So I went, oh. So I don't think anyone would complain if they abolished it, but then it would leave meaning the cruiserweights. But I think that the guys that are like 195, they'd be like, well, what do I do now? Do I go back down to light heavyweight and kill myself, or do I fight huge monsters that outweigh me by 60 pounds? See, so that's a question too.
And I can get that part, but
yeah, your question, I don't know. I tend to think that if Chisora weighs 245, I'm guessing. I have no idea what he's going to weigh. Usyk weighs 215. That's 30 pounds. I think that could be a problem later in the fight, especially if Chisora starts hitting him with some body shots. Because I said that's heavy. He's heavy-handed, Chisora. And if Usyk's tired, because he's obviously just going to outbox him like he always does, and try to surprise him, take it into the later rounds. But like we said last week, or like you just said, we think we know what's going to happen in these fights,
and we never do, right?
Right, we do and we don't. It's like that.
We don't, right? All right, Charles. Now, since the theme now is jumping around to all kinds of different topics, let's bring this one on you. And I saw your eyes roll about you're going to create another. No, you can't do that. Where are we as far as we talk about the welterweights all the time? That's an easy one. What weight class should we pay attention to, or that gap of weight classes that the average person doesn't even recognize that they're there? They know 8 fighters, and then if you're falling in these other divisions, these other weight classes, they have no idea. Who out there, or what class out there should we be paying closer attention to than we really do?
Of course, everybody talks about welterweights, then they talk about, about the middleweights a little bit, about the heavyweights. But I think that even though we're talking about a little bit now, I think that that lightweight, lightweight and even feather. So that to me, 130 to 140 right now, I think you should be talking about that, because there's so many different exciting fighters, the Devin Haney's, you have, Garcia, you have so many different groups in there, Shakur Stevenson, Davis, Santa Cruz. There's so many different.
Josh Taylor.
There's so many guys in there.
Progress, right?
That between that 130, 140 right now, it's like, this is the group. So we're talking about it because we're boxing fans. But I think more and more people are starting to go, I want to see some excitement, because it's just been a delay because of the COVID or whatever with the welterweights. It's coming. But you want to see some energy right now. You want to see some things happening and some great fighters that are really ready to step up, it appears. In Lomachenko, throw him in there, back in there too. But you really want to see that energy, that 130 to 140, somewhere in between there. I think that's a great place to be, because I think you would have a lot of dynamite. And these guys are literally talking about facing one another. And we don't get that often. We get guys so-called ducking one another. But we might have like a good 8 to 10 guys there that are like, hell, I want a title and I want the money. I want the prestige. I want to be the guy. And they naming the other guys as well. So, 130 between the weights of 130 to 140.
Okay. Now, since we are back with boxing, we're in real boxing talk and all that good fun stuff, does it appear, and this is an important thing because appearances are sometimes more important than what actually happens, does it appear as if the boxing powers that be are starting to see that, to showcase these guys a little bit more? Or is it just our clouded way of looking at it? Because obviously the Davis Santa Cruz fight, the picture behind you, they're promoting the heck out of this fight, at least considering that this is the fight of this weekend. Does it appear as if they're doing a better job of that? I mean, we still aren't seeing, for example, the Inoue Moloney fight at bantamweight. We still don't see a lot of buzz for that. Obviously, there are a couple of reasons for that. We'll get into that later. But does it appear, John, that we're getting a little bit more of, we're going to promote good fights instead of the big guys or the name thing. We want you guys to see a good fight, not just who you think is best.
It's hard not to be cynical about it because this is really a great time right now. First, we have Lomachenko Lopez, and then now we have this. But as I said when we started the show, I don't think they've done a great job promoting this fight, but they don't invest the kind of money they used to. You know, they used to make commercials and they would be on the radio and they would do all this, and that's back in the old days. But whether they're thinking different, perhaps, Frank, because, you know, Fury and Joshua are talking about fighting sooner than maybe a lot of people thought, because now Fury's not going to fight Wilder a third time. So they've already, from what I read, verbally agreed to fight each other next year. And that's a fight we all want. We all want to see Fury and Joshua. Supposedly they have a 2-fight contract. So maybe because they're driven by the fact that they've lost so much money in the last 8 or 9 months that they're thinking, hell, we got to put these big fights together next year for sure to recoup. So money is the root of all evil. So I'm always going to think that there's something behind that. And this is boxing. They are prize fighters, and I don't blame them. The thing is hopefully this will make the fans happy, because this is what we want. We want Santa Cruz, even though he is moving up a lot in weight, Santa Cruz. We want champions against champions. We want the best to fight the best. That's what boxing is supposed to be, and that's why I've always loved it, is the big fights. You're going to have lulls where you don't have them, but, you know, when we talk, like we're talking off air, Hearns and Leonard and Hagler and Leonard and those fights that you just dream of happening, and they happen. Ali Frazier 3 times back in the 70s. You know, that was a different time, but the fact that they're doing this, hopefully this is good. But there's been a lot of criticism about this fight. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I mean, a lot of Davis has been called a ducker by a lot of guys, taking on a guy lighter than him, and it's a pay-per-view show too. We have to remember that. See, Floyd Mayweather, who we're not going to talk much about, but he wants his fighter to be pay-per-view, and you can't blame him. You know, Charles has talked about this for a long time about Mayweather's plan about pay-per-view. And you know that he's thinking, look, I'm going to have Davis be like me. I'm going to have him on these pay-per-view fights. He's going to make all this money. So you can't blame him. But the fact is that if we get the good fights, $75, I saw on social media people, I'm not going to pay $75 for that. I'm not going to pay $75, right? So I don't know exactly how many buys they'll get. They'll get some because of the diehards. But I do believe that they paid attention. But again, I'm going to sound very cynical, but I'm going to repeat it. I think it's money. It's a money thing too, Frank. I think with the Zone and Golden Boy all tied up in the courts right now, and Canelo, God knows when we'll see him, maybe next year if we're lucky. They're going to have to figure out something, because they're going to all go broke if he's not out there fighting. So it's not for the purity of the sport that they're doing this. I think, and the fans, I think it's more just, look, we've lost millions and millions of dollars. We got to do something here. And it's good for the fans, like I said. So ultimately they might have got there in a backwards way, but it's good for the fight fans.
Okay, Charles, and I was going to bring this up before John did, but is this a $75 fight?
I'm not sure. Not right now.
Yeah.
Not right now.
And I don't mean to spit all over the fight, but is it a $75 fight?
See, I'm not sure if it is, because when I think about a $75 fight, particularly right now with all that's going on with the government, and then what's going on with COVID, that you got to at least make it entertaining for the people. So I think what they should have done with the $75 fight, and I have not looked at the undercard, so I don't know a lot going on. I think they should have upped the undercard. They should have delivered some other bouts that made you go, yeah, I need to see this fight. And I think with that being said, I think last week's fight was a pay-per-view fight. It was, with Lomachenko and with Lopez.
And it was free. It was on ESPN.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it was a pay-per-view fight, and people would have paid for that because you wanted to see what was going on. Here, a lot of people know a little bit about Davis, but not as much as you want. Floyd wants to put him out. Floyd Mayweather wants to put him in a position just like it's him fighting, but it's not.
But it's not, right.
It's not. He's under his tutelage. Tank Davis, that is under Mayweather's tutelage, but it's not. Santa Cruz, on the other hand, is a guy that you see and you might pay a little bit more as far as the pay-per-view if you knew more about his opponent. I mean, just because they're building up Tank Davis a lot, which is great. His story is phenomenal, getting his life back on track. But still, the one thing that we have not heard, and when you look at his, we know he's a knockout guy. He moved forward. That's Davis, that is. But when you look at his record, you don't go, oh, wow, he's taking on this guy. He's taking on that guy. You look at his record, you go, well, he's working his way up. Is that worth $75? And I'm not sure if that's the case. And again, if you're not going to, if it's not creating a buzz like we think it should right now, then in order to get to $75, it's somebody to put it down or even come together in a fight party under these crazy times, you have to add some additional fights that people want to see. And I think they could have done that. They could have done that if they wanted to. You could have said, okay, we got these guys over here. People want to see them. They're all under the tutelage of Mayweather, who's ever promoting it. We're going to give you this bigger bang for your buck, instead of just taking it for granted that because you say Tank Davis is a great fighter, somebody's going to drop down $75. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Well, on the undercard is Regis Prograis and Diego Magdaleno, not together, but they're on the undercard. Those are the only two fighters I've seen them fight before. Mm-hmm. So those are the only ones that jump out at me, and they're not part of the $12 equation of the $75 package, as far as I'm concerned. Now, we talked about this over a year ago. How do we change this? What do we do? There are two things that I think we looked at. One, you have to do a better job on the undercard of providing us with guys we want to see. Whether it's a 6-round fight for someone just coming up, but you don't put them on a $75 card. The second thing, on a $75 card, there should at least be 3 or 4 more belts on the line. You know, whether it's, as we were talking about, the bantamweights or the cruiserweights or someone that we don't normally see, they should probably be on this card as well. And that way you have the big fight, then you have maybe 2 or 3 other championship fights as well. Now, I understand you're trying to get back a lot of money from, you know, from what we've missed in the last 6 to 8 months, but $75 and only getting X number of buys, or maybe $39.99 or $29.99 and getting 5 times the buys. I don't know. Like you said, Charles, this is a $75 is a fight party fight watch thing, right? That's not where you're going to go, well, got myself some sarsaparilla. You got to have people coming over for this one. And where we're at now, you don't have people coming over. So I don't know. I didn't mean to jump into the whole business part of it, but that has a lot to do with it, because what we have seen is that coming out of the pandemic, and we mentioned this a few months ago, they've got to come out with a bang. They have and they haven't. I think they've started to make a difference, and this is going to be a heck of a fight. Don't get me wrong. I think that the people that have underestimated Santa Cruz, as we've been talking about for the last few months, are going to be really excited by what they see from Leo Santa Cruz. Great fighter. But again, I think you've got to add more to it. And I don't know the mechanics of it, the mathematics of it, how you do this, but I think that they're going to leave something a little bit short with charging $75 for a fight that the average fight fan may go, and the non-average fight fan isn't going to pay attention to. So that's a darn shame, I think. Looking at how we are going to attack, or let's put this a different way. Since we were not quite correct about the last fight we predicted, what can change our minds, or what could be different about this one is we dig a little bit deeper into it. John, what maybe we may be missing of how we're looking at this fight play out?
Well, you always miss something. You know, with Lomachenko and Lopez, I thought, God, you know, maybe I was focused too much on the skills of Lomo and not the skills of Teofimo. And because when you saw it in the ring, you saw that Lopez did what he said he would do. When he was saying, I'm a much better boxer than people give me credit for, most people are going, yeah, right.
You got to say
But he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. So Davis might be a little better as a fighter than just a slugger. You know, he's got the reputation for being a brawler slugger, but he's been working with that guy. We're not saying his name again. And you know that guy is going to teach him some things. And if I was him, I would be listening very well. And he seems to listen very closely to what that guy says. So he might bring some things Saturday night that we haven't seen if he needs it. So I think we've got this fight pretty well figured out, you know, as far as what could happen. And real quick on the card, Frank, you got me thinking about it. I think there's like 9 fights, which is a full card. What they could have done, and this is connected to what Charles said, which is unfortunate. You got the Rougarou on there. The Rougarou is always exciting. He's fighting an undefeated guy that I never barely heard of, but the guy's undefeated. What they could have done, God, I wish they had. You talk about title fights. Too bad they don't have Rougarou fighting for a title. Now that would have been a cool thing, because then you would have had what you were talking about, Charles. You would have had at least 2 title fights. And the Rougarou, he wouldn't be fighting a rematch with Josh Taylor because Taylor wants Ramirez so bad that it's not going to happen. But, you know, everybody's got a title. You could have brought somebody else in and made it a title fight. Then you would have had 2 title fights. Then you really could have promoted it.
Yeah.
And that would have probably helped. But you're right. I'm jumping all over the place here, too, because I have opinions on everything, as you know. I don't think this is a pay-per-view card. I don't, to be blunt. I don't. I think they're trying it out to see what's going to happen, but this is a first pay-per-view for both of these guys, and there's a reason for that. They're not really known enough for pay-per-view. And then again, piggybacking on what Charles said, you need to build the card up to build. It's like a good movie that has a lot of good supporting actors in it. You remember it because he had help. It's the top guy isn't good enough, so he needs supporting actors to build it up, make it better. And so it's kind of like that. Not that they're not good enough, they're just not known enough. So that's where you have that marketing issue. But yeah, I think that back to I'll just end it with this. I don't, even though I don't know if I answered your question, Frank, but I don't think it was.
You did. Yeah.
I did. Okay. I don't think this is see what they should have done. I got to say this because I thought of this when Charles was saying they should have saw what ESPN did, Showtime, and said, okay, we're going to eat it here, and we're going to have a free Showtime weekend. They do that, HBO and Showtime, and the fight would be part of the free weekend.
Right, exactly, right.
And that might have brought a lot more viewers, and then it would have made these guys more known. And then the next time one of them fought, then you do the pay-per-view.
And how many times did I get sucked into the free HBO, free Showtime weekend because of that thing, right? We're showing you the Eddie Murphy movie, and sure, yeah. All right, so okay, now let's be perfectly blunt about this. We are not looking. We've had a clear separation between the business of this fight and the actual fight itself. I believe that we all believe this is going to be one hell of a fight. But the business of it is we don't know that going in if we're just Joe Blow. So we're expecting Joe Blow to pay money on a fight that they don't know anything about, and then they're going to know something about it afterwards. And we're hoping that they understand that we know, the business people know enough that you should buy this fight because it's going to be really good. Well, I don't know if that's the way it works. I think that you buy this fight because you already know it's going to be really good because you, the customer, knows that.
Well, Frank, I don't know if we can guarantee it's going to be real good.
Well,
because,
no, but, right.
Yeah, right. You can't. It could be a blowout. Davis might hit Santa Cruz with a bomb in the first round or second. He's done it and knock him out in 2 rounds or less. It's possible.
Well, we're going to use that man's name again. You bought the Mayweather fight because you knew who it was. And you knew it may not have been the greatest show on earth, but you knew it was going to be who it was, and that's what you got.
True.
The same thing with Pacquiao. I'm going to be interested in this fight ahead of time, not afterwards. And that's where I think we're at. Next week, we might be saying this was the greatest fight of the year. But the average person won't know that until they're told that. What we're looking at when we lay down our money for $75 is I already know this is going to be the best fight of the year because I already know the guys we're watching. That's the way I look at it. So back to the original question 17 hours ago, Charles, when you're looking at how this fight plays out, what may we miss? What might we miss? I'm sorry.
A couple of things for me, and I'm not going to say that man's name. I'm just going to say what I call the money factor, right? And
Okay.
that man, his effect. We already know that it's been a lot that's been played up in Tank Davis's corner, talking about the training, okay, getting him in shape, actually getting Tank Davis in shape as far as the weight is concerned, making weight, the mindset that that Tank Davis is approaching with, that money's helping him with. The mindset of you want to be pay-per-view, this is what you have to do. So you're seeing that change. The other part that I think that we really need to look at, the third point is nobody's really saying it, and I think it has to be said. What is going to happen when you actually have the fight starting? Who's going to be where? Where is Tank Davis's original trainer going to be? We know he's going to be in the corner. How much will he be talking compared to money? How much hands-on will money have? And I think the other question I have too is, I've heard a couple interviews that Tank Davis is saying, well, I don't know who's going to be doing what. I'm going to be listening to both of them because I might want to listen to one in the first part of the round and listen to him on the second part of the round. Is that going to be confusing? Yeah. I know Tank Davis has the power. We know he can knock out Santa Cruz if he catches him. But when you get in the ring, you have all these different voices coming at you. You're talking. Let's say something starts to happen. Who's he going to listen to? Is he still going to take that same mindset that he's been grinding in one way when his trainer is saying, nah, this is what we do. This is what we've been doing. We're going to go that way. He gets that from money. No, you should do this way because I'm telling you, when I've been in position, here's what it is. So I think there's a risk of confusion, and I might be wrong, but I'm just saying there's a risk. There's a risk of confusion because of all of these different voices. And the other thing too is, from a Santa Cruz's perspective, you don't know, talking about Davis, you don't know how Santa Cruz is going to come at you. Because one of the things that they've been saying in their interviews is they expect much volume coming from Santa Cruz. And granted, Davis has the dynamite in his hands. But the question is, they are preparing, how do we deal with that barrage of punches coming from Santa Cruz? Because don't make no mistake, Santa Cruz does have enough power to take Davis down. Don't ever see, they're trying to act as if he's Jimmy Young from back in the day fighting Ken Norton. Santa Cruz has some power and he has combinations. It's not like he's a little gnat just slapping you.
Yeah.
Right situation. And I think that's a concern. But I think that's key. But I think that's key. The other thing on the Santa Cruz level is Santa Cruz, I'm throwing that crafty word, he has to be crafty. He has to move. He has to stay out of the way, but he has to be busy. It's almost like we said last week when we were watching Lopez, you had to see, he had to be smart and be crafty. He had to take advantage of it and be the boxer that he is. So I think those elements, because there's a lot of what ifs. We talked about the power of Davis, perhaps taking down Santa Cruz, but we also talking about these other little intangibles and factors. Who does Tank Davis listen to and at what time? And then why you're trying to impose will. I think those are key factors that it really throws it as a toss-up. Yeah, you can tell me right now, as John, you mentioned, oh yeah, we know Tank Davis can take him out. It could be over in round 2. But what about his mindset? And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You can say what you want to, but those voices chirping, and then you get hit with a one, Santa Cruz start rolling on him. It's like, what? Just calm down. And you hear this voice, you hear that voice.
Panic.
Maybe Tank Davis mentally is prepared. He said, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to handle the business. But I would say from both sides, those are the intangibles that are intriguing me, because nobody, as much as we want to say we know, we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Well, first of all, let me say, ding. We said crafty another time. But also, having been a head coach and having been an assistant coach, I know how the workflow sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Because if you're trying to say something as an assistant, you may have the greatest thing in the world to say, but it's not your time to say it. You may have the greatest plan to implement. It's not your time to implement it. And from the other side, from the head coach point of view, it's like, I can hear you, but I can't say what I'm going to say and what you're going to say at the same time. And the guy can't listen to both of us too. So that has to be delineated right away. Who's doing the talking, who's doing the listening. So that's a very good point. And I think that's overlooked a lot of times, especially when you have the dad in the ring in the corner, and then you've got the other person. And then who was, I just lost my train of thought. Who was the trainer? It was also the cut man. You know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I come up with it. But it's like, no one else needs to say anything. I'm going to fix the cut. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to pour the water. I'm going to make sure you're breathing. Get out there and go. That's efficient. That's a great minute in the corner right there. If you can do that, great. But when you got 4 different people talking to you, and this guy's been talking to you for a while, but this guy's the accomplished guy, and they're in 3 years, and that's going to be tough. That's a good point. The second part about,
I don't think, I'm sorry, Frank, I just want to throw this in. I thought I saw an article that Floyd Mayweather, that guy again, is not sure if he's going to be in the corner. He wasn't sure about that. And he might be thinking just what Charles is saying, that, well, do I really want to be saying something? I mean, he's got this rhythm with his trainer. Do I muck it up? I mean, Floyd Mayweather is that word again. He's a clever guy, and he's a crafty, clever guy. And he's thinking that if it's not broke, why, right? I mean, it's obviously not broken. So I would think that if I was him, I wouldn't be in the corner for all the reasons that Charles stated. But if Tank Davis requests him to be in the corner, then they're going to have to make a decision, because that's right. Very true. I've seen where the corner is chaotic, where you got 1 or 2 guys talking, and you're sitting there like a fighter, and it just like, you got one guy in this ear and one guy in this, and you're like, and every fighter I've ever heard talk about say they hate that.
Well, add to this, to one part of that you're saying, how many people are going to be in the stands for this fight?
100, 200.
Okay, so go back to, say, a Carl Froch fight where he's in the corner and his pretty girlfriend's 3 rows away. If you're the fighter, you can still hear her.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're Floyd Mayweather Jr. and you're not in the corner, but you see something that he should be doing, more than likely you're going to go, hey, blah, 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 blah. And whether you're in the corner or not, who am I listening to? And am I straining to hear what this is going on outside the ring, or am I paying attention to the guys right in front of me? So, Charles, that's a great point. And there's a whole lot of things can happen with that. And the other thing that I see with this that I don't know if we're overlooking, but a lot of people be overlooking, and we mentioned this early in the show, the toughness of Leo Santa Cruz. Again, he doesn't look like a tough guy, but he's not going to go away. And as you both mentioned kind of in a roundabout way, but not that you were making a roundabout statement, but making this full circle, 6 rounds into this, if Davis is just looking for the big shot, Santa Cruz is going to rack up rounds. And unlike what Lomo didn't do, there's another double negative, that he didn't do in the last fight, was he didn't capitalize on the first 6 rounds of the fight. Santa Cruz won't do that. He will be busy and active right away. And he may rack up rounds in the first 6-8 rounds to where now Davis has to sit back and look for the bomb, which is going to be, I believe, counterintuitive to what he's been told to do by Mayweather. So that to me,
Frank, and that's the plan. I think that's the plan. They want to outbox Davis. They want to get him to the point where he's somewhere he hasn't been, maybe behind. They want to do all that. And if he fights a certain way and he can get Davis's respect, he'll do it. He'll get it. It just depends on those intangibles we've been talking about. What if this happens? What if this happens? But if he gets him in the 8th round, gets Davis in the 8th round, and the fight's a toss-up, man, now we're going here. That's going to be really fun.
What I think that no matter what Davis is being told in his mind, once he gets in the ring, this little skinny guy, I'm just going to push him around. I'm going to bully him. I'm going to make him taste my power. Once he feels me hit him, he won't be there. He'll be trying to find a place to hide. And we know Santa Cruz, you may knock him out. You may hurt him, but he's going to be right there. And he's going to be there in racking up points, doing what he has to do, being busy until Davis says, well, I got to do something else, and it might be too late. Charles, you've got to look like I'm not sure what he's saying, but I've got something to say instead of that.
No, I mean, I'm with you on that, but I think the point of it that was being made is right there. I think that it's being taken for granted that Davis, with his power, is going to make this an easy night, and Santa Cruz should run for his life. And again, I think the biggest thing is, and I said it before, and then more and more that I watch the interviews and other things that have been said, I had to ask myself, you talk about the loyalty of Davis has to his original trainer, but also the loyalty that he has to money. And it's like, is that a distraction? And granted, I think against lesser talented opponents, I think it wouldn't be a big deal. You just kind of go, okay, I'm going to come in there and do what I do. But when you start going to that next level, and I think Davis knows that he's fighting a top-tier fighter, there could be some problems. And maybe I'm over-speculating on this and I'm putting too much emphasis on it.
No, I don't think so.
But I think that you literally have to think about that, because no matter how much money wants to make it so, Tank Davis is no money. Not yet. He has to work his way up. And coming in with Santa Cruz is like, it's a real fight. And it's a fight that, clearly he's capable of winning, Davis, that is. But what are you going to do to get there? And you just cannot take this for granted. I think that's why you see Tank Davis working harder in the gym, taking this a lot more serious, coming to Las Vegas, because it's like, I got all these things in my corner, but man, this guy is a hell of a fighter, 4-time champion. I can't take him lightly. I can't worry about making weight day after day of or whatever, or eating some snacks and trying to get that last pound off. So I will say this. I think Tank Davis is totally committed to this, perhaps like no other. But still, with all that being said, and with money somewhere around him, or living at that house or whatever the hell is going on, there's no guarantees. Not when you fight this guy. And that's what I'm excited for. There are no guarantees he's going to win this fight.
Okay, so we're now to that point where when there are no guarantees, we're going to make a guarantee. John, who wins the fight?
No guarantees. No guarantees. Thank you there, Frank.
Come on, John. You first. I love it.
You first. Thank you.
Well, I had to flip it because you said that I couldn't go right back to you. I mean, I've been wrong.
Yeah, I got to say a little bit before I'm going to stall a little bit here. Before I think that guy again, he's been around a little bit, and he's going to try to keep everything pretty quiet for Davis. He's going to try to make everything and he did it. Now, that guy, he could get ready for a fight no matter what was going on in his life, if you remember that. I mean, he was amazing. You talk about a guy that can compartmentalize. It wouldn't matter what was going on. His house could have been burning down. He'd have been ready. I mean, he was so dedicated. But here we go again with psychology. I got to say this. That guy might be trying to make Davis like him. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. You are what you are, and everybody's different. Mm-hmm. So that is a psychological intangible that Charles has brought up, which is a good one. I tend to think that I think you're pretty much right, Frank. I think Davis is going to try to blast Leo Santa Cruz out of there pretty early. He's going to try to throw some bombs. If he backs him into the ropes right away and starts throwing bombs to the body too, we might have a short night. Because I still don't think, even though Leo's been training with welterweights, I don't really think he's been hit like this guy hits. I don't think it's overrated about his power. But I think Leo expects that. So I'll be very surprised if he just allows it. He's going to get out of there. We'll use that crafty word again, box. This is This is a tough fight. Davis has been favored by quite a bit, about 3-1 from the beginning. I don't think it's 3-1. I don't. I favor Davis a little, but because I think Santa Cruz has to fight more a perfect fight for him to win because of that power element. He can't get caught. And can he hurt Davis? Charles said he can. Probably, but I think it would be later in the fight. So if you're going to make me make a pick.
I'm making you make a pick.
You're making me make a pick. I'm just going to say I favor Davis, but I wouldn't be surprised if the fight gets later, Santa Cruz maybe gets a draw or a split decision, but I'd say I favor Davis just a teeny bit. But then again, what I like is that we don't really know because we think we do, but we don't.
Okay, so being committedly non-committal, I still don't know what you just said. So, okay.
That's good. That was the point. I am now announcing that I'm running for the Senate, Frank.
Yeah,
See,
right.
I did not answer the question at all. So I can stay on any side no matter what happens. I can say, I said that might happen, that might happen. So I'm never wrong. See?
No new taxes. Now I'm going to raise the taxes you're already paying, but no new taxes, right?
Right. Part of is.
All right. Charles, what do you not think or whatever?
I think it's going to be close and it's going to be a draw. No, I'm just playing. I'm along the same similar mindset. I'll say this. I think if it's within the first four, if it only lasts early, 4 or 5 rounds, if Tank Davis is going to win, that's how he's going to win. It's going to be a knockout. He's going to catch Santa Cruz, and it'll be what it is. After you leave 5 on, and Santa Cruz is able to move around and still protect themselves, I think that whole thing about the deep waters is not fiction. It's real. I think it is, because I think at that point Santa Cruz starts to become more of that technician, and he starts to move around. And when that other voice is starting to tell Tank Davis, do this, do that. I would do this. I do the shoulder roll. I'll wait on him. Now we're going to go get him because we've been waiting on this because we've been doing it. I don't think that's Tank Davis style. I don't think he's really been tested like that as far as somebody that is a technician is on that level. All right, I'm going to wait on him. I'm tired of Gamboa. I'm going to knock you out in the 8th round because I can do that. But when you fight a technician like Santa Cruz, somebody that's been there, done that, as long as he can still stay away from him and keep coming back at him, almost a la at times Pacquiao. When you Pacquiao play with you a little bit, kind of move around from you, I think then that's, if it goes, the later it goes, and if it goes past 7 on, I'm going with Santa Cruz. Because that's and no disrespect to Tank Davis, but with those, I think the voices, they could play a part. And I think that's what becomes the thinking man's game. And with that,
you can only think so much. Yeah.
And De La Cruz,
overthink.
Santa Cruz is gonna be like, oh, he's hearing all these voices. I'm hitting him. I'm getting these rounds. Now he got to come all the way crazy. And the one thing I'll tell you, to get off this very quickly, in the Gamboa fight, before Davis knocked out Gamboa was dropping some combinations and was pushing Tank back. I think Gamboa ran out of steam and had some issues. I don't think that's the case with De La Cruz.
Later in the fight.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, and then real quick too, Frank, you guys made me think of something. Santa Cruz has showed he's got a solid chin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So there you go. I mean, that throws another monkey wrench in the equation. That's what makes it. That was what I said the same thing basically, Frank, was that if it gets past the, so you can accuse me all you want, but that's basically what I said, was if it gets past a certain point, his chances of winning, Santa Cruz, I'm speaking of, definitely go up. But again, I got to say this, I think both are going to be in great shape. It's always a matchup of styles and whoever can figure out who faster. So that's why this is such an interesting tactical matchup between these two guys.
Well, I think that I kind of like with both of you that I think it's one thing to be a thinking fighter, but it's another thing to be thinking about things that you don't normally think about. So that's going to be the tough thing. And I think we can list on maybe a one hand, maybe two, fighters that had to reinvented themselves for reasons other than just they got old or they got hurt or they got slower or whatever. All one I can think of really off the top of my head is Arturo Gatti. It said, you can't brawl like this all the time. You've got to be a better boxer. And I'm sure there are more people than I'm just thinking of, but like Ali, well, he had to lay off and all that. Foreman, had to lay off. And so you had to do things a little bit differently. So what I foresee, I see, Santa Cruz. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I see him pitching a shutout for like the first 6 rounds. And then the manager comes and takes him out and brings in somebody else. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I just watched some. Yeah, I know. I still can't believe that happened last night. All right, but what I see happening is basically that Santa Cruz is going to do what he's supposed to do. And as Charles said, the more that Tank has to think about what he's doing, the worse off he's going to be. So either he's going to fully conform or he's going to revert back. Well, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. There's going to be a combination. So he's going to be warring against himself, I believe. Not that the changes are that huge, but even little subtle things. So I see Santa Cruz. Actually, I see Santa Cruz in a big way, as long as he doesn't get caught. So I see majority decision by Santa Cruz. Stated unequivocally until I edit this out and post it later.
Which I will let everyone know, Frank, that you are the man who edited.
That's not the original film. What are you talking about? Where's the Zapruder film?
That's right. Who messed with the Frank?
All right. Now, we've got a couple of things that we'll kind of touch on. We didn't really jump into it, but kind of let's welcome back the zone and talk about just a little bit about what we expect with the Oleksandr Usyk and Dereck Chisora fight. Again, I saw Chisora on Sky Sports this morning. He seems confident. Let's put it that way. I don't know if there's a better way of putting that. Not that he's braggadocious about it, but he feels like he's got it lined up. Just a quick idea. Where do we see this fight going? Charles, who wins this fight?
Oh, wow. Now, we said earlier that Usyk is really coming in and he's ready to make some things happen. So I'm going to go with Usyk just because of that factor. I think the way he's going to come in, going to approach it, and I think he has the feeling that he has nothing to lose, and he's confident, and I think that's going to go a long way for him to winning this by either unanimous decision or even by knockout.
Okay, John.
Yeah, Usyk. He's just better, well-rounded than Chisora. Chisora, he's got a chance to land a knockout shot, and he might. But no, I think Usyk is very well-rounded, and I think same thing. I think he wins a decision, a wide decision, or stops him late, around round 10 or round 11. Chisora gets tired of chasing him all those rounds, but yeah, Usyk's got a lot of tools, and he's going to definitely use them, and he's fired up too. I mean, Chisora's confident, but so is he. So I think Usyk wins it.
And I'll make it a three-way bet there. I think with Chisora, the interview, the confidence I saw in him didn't seem to be anything that he had proven to himself. He just thinks that he's going to be good, and I don't know that he's actually paid attention to the opponent and what the opponent can, because it's always about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, what's the other guy going to do? And we've all been in that where you're not overconfident, but you have no idea who you're playing against, so you just assume that you're going to be better. That's not always the case. Nope. All right, and then one that we barely touched on, but it's important just for fights in general, the Inoue Moloney fight. I know that we really haven't talked about that, and it really doesn't get a lot of pub, but for that weight class and what that could mean to that weight class in boxing in general, you don't have to pick this one if you don't want to. Just what do you think real quick, John?
Oh, I'll just say I think Inoue wins. I like the fight because Moloney is a tough Aussie, and I've got some friends from Australia, and they're really excited. They're confident that he can surprise the monster. I'm not. I think the monster, he's Godzilla. I mean, he's going to get the job done. He might have a few moments of suspense. Like, we got to remember, Donaire really pushed him, and that could end up really being the best thing that ever happened to the monster, because that's how you get better. We know that. You get better when a guy pushes you hard and makes you reflect and go, okay, maybe I need to work on this. So you're knocking guys out in a minute into a fight or in the second round. You're not really getting better, because you're just doing the same thing over again. You get a guy like Donaire who pushes him and made him dig deep. And this is a past his prime Donaire. So that was really impressive by Nonito Donaire. So that obviously gives Moloney some confidence. So Moloney, it's similar as Santa Cruz and Davis. If Moloney can last later into the fight, if it's the 7th round and it's pretty competitive, and Inoue starting to get a little tired, which is what happened with the Donaire fight. He got nailed with some heavy shots. He's got a chance, but I don't see it. I think Inoue, again, like Davis, he's such a heavy-handed bantamweight. I think he's fast. I think he's going to catch Moloney and stop him.
Okay. Charles?
Yeah, I'm with that too. I had to say, I think Inoue is he's on a mission. You know, he has set this up in order for it to keep rolling on the train and for the monster to receive the recognition he's looking for. He has to take care of these type of fights. Not so much early, but he has to be dominant, and I think that's what he's going to do with Moloney. So from that standpoint, I think Inoue is going to win it going away. I think he's going to win it easily because, again, we've heard about him. They talked about him. But in order for him to take that next level step, start getting a little bit more money, start getting more recognition here in the United States, all of those things, and being signed, I don't know, as far as like maybe bigger money and bigger contract and getting more eyes on him, he's going to have to be dominant, and he's going to be more, impressive. So I want to go Inoue. Easy.
Well, see, this is one of those signpost fights for Inoue, and so was the Donaire fight. Okay, so we made it to we beat the name, we beat the guy, we beat the legend. Great. Now we're fighting in Vegas, and I misspoke last week when I mentioned that. And the last time we saw Moloney in the ring, well, was his brother, but still, the idea of being in the bubble in Vegas, that was they've both been in the bubble now, so. It's not that they're fighting in Saskatchewan, no offense to Saskatchewan, but they're fighting in Vegas. So this is the signpost fight for Inoue. Now I take care of this one. Maybe now I may not be a headliner for the big event, but I'm in the States. I'm fighting for a title or fighting for my titles. And coming up after this may be that shot to be on a pay-per-view card, that shot to headline an ESPN fight. When people can come back, that chance to do something. This to me is the next fight in a series of stair steps for Inoue. So I think he comes in ready to go, being the monster and taking care of business. And I like Moloney, even though I get him confused with his twin, obviously. But I like Moloney. But this is the guy that I don't think you mess with him right now. He's got too much on the line, and he's got this is his legacy creating or sustaining fight. So, yeah, I think it's in a way.
Yeah, and Frank, let me interject something. I think maybe Bob Arum, I would be thinking this way if I was him. You remember years ago how Chocolatito was used on HBO? He was always the second main event. Right. He was the co-main in a sense.
Right.
So maybe that's what's going on here. Is this is Inoue invades the United States. Maybe Bob Arum's going to put him on another card, a big card, after this most probable victory, and build up his popularity in the United States that way, since he's come here to fight. I mean, he's here and he knocks out Moloney pretty explosively, which is possible, very possible. Then that Bob Arum will be going, oh yeah, that's what I want. He's just start building them. So maybe that's what that's what they're thinking, is the way that Chocolatito, when he was knocking everybody out and beating everybody, this is how he got more famous in a sense. The smaller guys, a lot of people don't pay attention to, which is unfortunate because they're so talented and they're so friggin' gutsy. Those little guys, you can put them in your pocket, but they're so full of guts. I mean, they are. They're just so tough. Those little guys. That might be what Arum is thinking, and that's a good way to think. I think because that that would build up another card, another title. You have 2 title fights. That's always good.
Well, Charles, is what we were talking about earlier. You've got to round out what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not to mention that guy's name again, but when there's only that one person, that polarizing person, whereas we want to see this guy fight. Then we said, well, first of all, you can go back to Sugar Ray, but we build up Oscar De La Hoya. Then we build up, and I'm missing a few people in there, obviously, Mike Tyson. We build up a few people, but when boxing has been at its best monetarily, you've had enough cards you can fill out where, again, people like us are going to say, I'm buying this one, I'm buying that one. 3 weeks from now, I'm buying that one. Even if it's on ESPN, I'm watching that one. And the advertisers get brought in. This is what John is saying, I believe, is that now we've got another guy we can put on a card, as you were saying, on a pay-per-view card with 3 or 4 other guys where it's like, I'm not missing this one. $74, $74.99 isn't a big deal for 4 great fights.
Right.
For one maybe fight, but for 4 great fights, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're right. I mean, that's what it is. And it comes down to that because people, it's kind of tight with people's money for some people right now, and they want the biggest bang for their buck. I mean, one of the things that you have to talk about this, I'll get off this real quick, but if I was not mistaken, I think we're talking about the zone coming back strong, whatever. They're trying to expand out more globally. And they're talking about putting it out for maybe like $2, right? Something like that, or something.
I haven't heard, but that sounds like what I believe they should be doing. Yeah.
Like $2 for the newer subscribers or something like that. And I was like, well, I give you $2,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give you the other money because you have not proven it. And that's why I was skeptical the first time. But I think they see the writing on the wall. They know that when you have your star, you're in court with him, and
right.
they have a couple fights coming up that they're going to feature. But damn, you lost a lot of money, and to bring some newer people in, you have to make it economically feasible, and you also have to put out some fights that people want to see, because otherwise you're going to be showing a Bolivian bull riding, and chair whipping, on your show.
I'm there. I'm watching that. I'm there.
Nobody's like, you want me to pay for this monthly?
and what I came down to, and I know that it's not their fault that they didn't have any fights, but when I originally subscribed to DAZN, shut up. That my
Frank, I'll pay for that.
my concept of it was going to be, we have this backlog, this catalog of fights that you can watch on demand, which I thought was going to be pretty extensive, and then we're going to have new fights coming up weekly. Well, obviously you couldn't have new fights. I got that. But the backlog of fights they had was, what? And it was all like 4 fighters. So they couldn't keep my money. And I'm sorry about that. If they come back strong, they'll get it back. But they couldn't keep my money, especially with all that was going on. But if they can come out and say, we're going to have something good for you every week or every other week or something. And if it is not Bolivian chair fighting or whatever the hell, it's, Calgary curling or something like that, I can live with that. But if they can come back with something that's what we're looking at, then cool. And if that means putting on these kind of fights and then getting more of that and building a bigger base of fighters and what they can do, better cards, more power to them. I just don't know that they can. I think they went to we're going to go superstar way, and then, well, the superstar thing fell apart. Now what do we do?
Frank, that's actually what I was going to jump in with. I think they're stunned because they thought they had Golovkin Canelo 3. They thought it was going to be in the bag. They were going to make a boatload of money, and then the pandemic, and then before that, Canelo was like, I don't really want to fight him again. So it messed everything up, the best laid plans, right? So the zone is in, and they were already in trouble financially. So I don't want to see them go under. I want them to make it because I like I like most of the product they put out there. Now, this is talking from a guy who loves boxing and will watch 2 flies go at it for a few rounds, if they're boxing each other. So, so I like it. Now then I'll swat them both because I get sick of looking at them. But
and the true champion is.
That's right. So I want them to survive because I in a way I like that. And now the negative about the zone is this is another show, but sometimes their cards go so long, you know, it's 11 o'clock at night and you're like, holy moly, I've been watching this since 3. You know, so that gets a little aggravating to me because I have the short attention span of a fly. So, you know, I'm all over the place. By 7 or 8, I'm like, gee whiz, you know. But I hope they make it because I think the problem is what you said, Frank. They went the superstar route and it didn't work because of things. And now they can't fix it quickly because we don't know what's going to happen with Canelo and Golden Boy and DAZN. So they're in a pickle. So they need to start. They got Jamie Munguia fighting here tomorrow. He's a good fighter, and they need to really start getting creative about their fights. They're trying, but they put a lot of their eggs in pretty much one basket, and it broke. Yeah. So now they're in trouble, and I hope they find a way because, like I said, their production values. We won't talk about the commentating or the color commentator. We won't talk about that because I actually just did. So, but I want them. I just will leave it like that. I want them to make it. I think what they do is basically good, and they want to do a good show. It's just that they're in a tough spot right now, and they know it.
Well, for anything that's going to be huge, sports related, is, you know, if you're looking at Major League Baseball thrives on the people that watch and participate in Little League Baseball and then move up from that. You know, soccer took off here because the World Cup was here back a few decades ago, and we built from the grassroots level up. You know, basketball. Who hasn't seen a high school basketball game? And then that carries over to your favorite NBA player, or more accurately, WNBA. They reach out to the high schools and colleges and whatnot. The thing that boxing hasn't done, and I'll lump MMA into this because I usually should and I don't, is that we've forgotten, at least business-wise, for the business model, what's happening down at the Armory, what's going on over here at the Greensville Coliseum. You know, we should have more of that. Now, granted, you're not going to make that pay-per-view, but if you're going to get people that are boxing junkies like ourselves to say, hey, man, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and they're showing a replay of this stupid fight that I've seen 27 times, or, hey, here's a guy I've never seen before. Which one are you going to watch? Mm-hmm. Now, you may want to see the fights you've seen 27 times, but you may go, hey, here's something new. And as you mentioned the first time you saw Santa Cruz, someone said, keep an eye on this guy. How many of those guys you want to keep an eye on? How many college basketball players you seen playing Steph Curry to Davis, and you went, there's something going on with this kid. I don't know what it is, but I've got to watch him.
Keep an eye on him.
You know, yeah, I got to keep an eye on him. You know, I'm going to go back to old Ohio stuff. Chris Spielman on the Wheaties box, Charles. How many people kept watching Chris Spielman because he was on the Wheaties box when he was in Massillon? You know, you build that up and you keep it going. And boxing doesn't do that. They expect us to get the guys when they're fighting for one of the 117 belts. And I think it's about time. And DAZN has a perfect opportunity to go, let's put something on and make it worthwhile. Right. And that's going to be a tough thing to do, obviously. But again, you know, Charles, we talked about this a couple of years ago. The question I posed was, is boxing dead? And I said, well, is it dying? I think we're past that question of is it dying, but it's still not totally healthy.
Yeah, no, it's not. But, you know, people want to throw dirt on it, said it was dead, but then you watch what was happening. Was it the fight the other night with even because it was free, of course, with you look at that fight with Lomachenko, you know, and Lopez, the numbers that they did real well.
Super high.
Yeah, they beat out of some major sports games.
Right.
And that tells you there's an interest there. So as you said, coming back, you have to try to give them give the people free entertainment or at least something that brings them in, then you can build up on it from that standpoint. I mean, the zone, all they have to do, I think, as you mentioned about the catalog, is stop showing Oscar De La Hoya fights from the 6th grade. I mean,
I didn't say that name. I didn't say the name. I'm just okay.
You implied it.
Yeah, there has to be some more things out there. And granted, I think people are kind of hungry right now, as far as boxing are concerned. We're gonna see this fight. I don't know if it's pay-per-view ready. We'll see what happens there. Then we come back again with some other stuff. Daniel Jacobs is fighting. We got some other people coming on. We got a lot going on. We got as you mentioned before with Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia. So there's potential for it to really blow up, because you think about it from this standpoint. We're probably getting in the next 3 months more fights than we've had.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, seriously, back to back to back.
Yeah.
Not 6 months from now, quarterly. We're talking about boom, 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 and
Right.
It makes sense because that's going to draw you in and make people want to watch.
Yeah, and Terrence Crawford is fighting on the 14th against Kell Brook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It'd be a better fight than people think, Frank.
Oh, it'd be a heck of a fight, I think. Yeah, but it's to the point where, and we'll get off on this, that I don't think, and I understand the cachet that it has, and I also know why we had to have this or why people want it, but hopefully in 6 months to 8 months to a year, we won't be as compelled with the Tyson Roy Jones, whatever it's going to be. Now, granted, that may be the wrong thing, because they are guys that I think if they were 90, we'd still want to see them do something. I understand that. But now that we have this wave of people saying, I'm 80 and I can fight too. No. But there's a void maybe they think that they're trying to fill. And maybe they're just insane and senile and don't know any better. But it's the idea of, well, they're going to pay for that, they'll pay for this. Well, I'd rather pay for the guy fighting in the Armory and that full card of stuff there and watch that, as opposed to watching, as you said, De La Hoya fight in the 6th grade. So,
and real fast, Frank, if you probably noticed, because you're on social media like I am, and so is Charles, you notice they've got a pretty cool poster of Tyson Jones, and it's got all kinds of hits and interest, and
yeah,
it's got a built-in audience already. And I've made a point, I'm not going to write anything about it on Max Boxing, because nothing against them, but it's an exhibition.
It's not anything, right? Yeah, right.
But it's going to it's generating all kinds of interest already. It's selling itself. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to do that much with it. And now, see that real fast. Now, we need the media to sell this more. I'm reading a great book on Jack Dempsey called "In the Ring with Jack Dempsey," and it was so different 100 years ago, mostly because they had the newspaper and everything, and they had daily reports all the time. So that's why these guys got to be so famous, because the constant repetition of their name being put out there. Like you always say, put your name out, put your name out, put your name out. We don't have that now. Social media, right. They see a name like Leo Santa Cruz, some people, and they go, who? But they see Mike Tyson and Roy Jones and go, oh, I've heard of those guys.
I know those guys, right? Yeah.
See, so it's kind of tough. It's limiting, but if I was the zone, I'd start throwing everything at it. I'd start trying everything. I mean, they might not have the money to do that, though. That might be a big problem.
Well, okay, Charles, let me kind of spin this a little bit different. If you're a golf fan and you've got the Masters coming up, you're probably going to watch that, even though it's going to be snowing in Augusta or whatever, you're going to watch that. But if you are kind of a golf fan, are you going to watch Mickelson and Charles Barkley against, what is it, Tony Romo or whoever it is? I don't even know the Peyton Manning and whoever
Tiger
it is.
This year. Tiger this year.
You're going, well, yeah, but I want to see Charles Barkley golf.
Yeah, you want to see his bad swing. Yeah.
Right. You want to see Charles Barkley. Well, not for an entire round, but that's the thing. So we're walking that fine line of, do I want to see Lewis Hamilton in a Formula One race, or do I want to see Mario Andretti in a you're walking a fine line. I know Mario Andretti. I've never seen this guy, even though he's been dominating Formula One for the last few years. But I know Mario Andretti, yeah. Even though he's 93 years old, I'd like to see him get in the car and see if he can go 25 miles an hour.
The name, yeah.
There's a fine line there. And I think if you can capitalize on both ends of it, you're good. But if you're going to hang your hat on just one or the other, that's where problems arise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've solved some of the world's problems today. Not all of them, but some of them. I'm going to do like my Facebook account says every 3 seconds. Make sure you vote. I don't know why, but that's just, I hear that so often I have to repeat that. Look, we have a lot of fun doing this. Gentlemen, as always, go ahead and plug what you got to plug, Charles.
Yep, therealityofsports.com, also Reality Sports on Facebook, also the Goon Squad Sports show. And they let me come on this show out of charity, so appreciate this as well.
Yeah, because we're paying him as in charity. So, John.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on a show called Real Boxing Talk. Is that what it's called?
Real Talk Boxing, I think. Talk Real Boxing, yeah.
And I want the viewers to start watching it more because I think it's very good. And I think our last show came up a teeny bit. We went from 5 viewers to 10. Maybe I'm joking. I think it was higher than that. But I
103% increase, yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. It means we're doing something. They like it when we're wrong on stuff, so they like to see us admitting that we're doofuses and don't know anything. So there you go. That's fine. But I love doing this. I've got the latest. There's a few more rounds that's out right now, the boxing book, and we just got our 4th review in. It's all 5 stars. Yikesy. I always want to say that the check must have cleared, and I guess the check cleared 4 times, guys.
Good.
And that's when you give people more money, then you're guaranteed to get 5 stars. So that's always,
that's the way it works.
So yeah, it was great. It's doing really well, and so I'm really happy about that. It's not selling as much as I like, but it's not all about that. The people that are buying it are really enjoying it because it's very different. It's like us, kind of sitting around a fire talking boxing and experiences in your life, like me with Andre, and then Charles talking about things, and you talking about seeing things. So it's like that. But yeah, a few more rounds. It's on Amazon, and then Blood on My Notebook also, and Intimate Warfare.
And as far as I'm concerned, I am very happy that I did not make the Better Off Dead John Cusack reference to Charles when he's talking about $2 more, but we'll go past that. Yes, I know. I am here. I am there. I am Sapphire. Oh, geez. Anyway. Check out in all seriousness, for you boxing fans, check out the interview that we just did on the Ultimate Sports Network on the interviews section with Barry Tompkins. Interesting man. If you didn't realize how much he's covered in the last 50 years, and then you realize it's been 50 years, and you realize I'm talking to an 80-year-old man, I didn't realize that. I mean, when I talk boxing or when I think about boxing, that's one of the voices I always hear when I talk about boxing. And it was a privilege to talk to him. And he had so many nice things to say about so many people and what he does, and just fantastic. You want to hear a man that enjoys what he does for what he does, not for all the trappings that it provides him or whatever trappings it provides him. It was a good interview. So, and we plan on doing more stuff like that. So that was fantastic. And again, talking with you two guys makes me feel like even a greater knucklehead or less of a knucklehead. I haven't really figured that out yet, but it's a lot of fun. We enjoy what we're doing. And look, folks, this is fun. So we love boxing. We love talking to you, and we love talking to each other. So come on back. Thank you very much.